Chat room, come on in here. This spontaneous. What's up, Brother Wharton? Everybody, come on in here. Come on in here. I know there's a whole bunch of other spaces going on right now. So, and this one's spontaneous. Didn't plan this one in the head. But I want to talk about a few things. Not gonna be on here all day. We're gonna talk about it, then put it up on. For those of you who come in late, we're gonna put this up on YouTube later on. So I want y'all to hear more about this. My point of view in a lot of ways when it comes to our music. Right now, as Black people, we're doing the right thing by reclaiming hip hop. We are definitely doing the right thing reclaiming hip hop. But we also got to remember hip hop is just one of many versions of Black culture that's still in the mainstream right now. Hip hop is just one of the many versions of our culture that the world is consuming to this day. You know what I mean? And we got to talk about it. You know what I mean? Because when we talk about our greatness in our music, when we talk about our greatness in our hip hop and our rap, and these other groups try to take it, like we had this Indian dude, I mean not Indian, Italian guy talking about there were Italian spray painters or whatever saying Black folks took Italian culture and all that shit. And then of course we see the Fat Joes out there and what he's doing. People like Fat Joe, people like Busta Rhymes, these snitches. We see what they doing, and they're doing it as if they're talking as if they're just giving us this great thing that, hey, Black America, your little hip hop thing wouldn't be nothing without us. They basically coming from that point of view, and it's like, hold on, So what I want to do is I want to give some talking points out to all y'all listening. And, because when it comes to a debate, when it comes to discussion, you can torpedo basically anything anyone else has to say if you know exactly where to go as far as how to source for culture and what we've done and what we've done and what we continue to do. So when I say it's bigger than hip hop, we got to remember that our influence worldwide is multifaceted and multi-generational. Yeah, a lot of the younger people may be into hip hop, but their parents were into Black culture through disco, through funk. Their grandparents were into Black culture through the blues, through early rock and roll. Their great grandparents were into Black culture through swing. Their great great grandparents were into Black culture through ragtime. This is something that kind of keeps getting repeated over and over and over and over again. It's like whatever music culture we create, it becomes a dominant culture around the world. And these other groups that hate Black, they don't want to be Black, they don't like Black people, they claim. They want to be white, they want to be all these other things, except for socially when it comes to our music. Now all of a sudden they Black and want to claim to be part of Blackness. So, and I'm gonna open this up because I want to hear something y'all got to say too. Again, and I'm not gonna be on here too long. But I do want to get this part out. When it comes to Black culture and Black music and hip hop, we got to remember the number one, and this is something I say, and it may be a little bit controversial, but let's tell the truth. Popular R&B is still more popular around the world than hip hop. Let me say that again. R&B, when done right, or when done white, is still a bigger genre worldwide than hip hop. Hip hop is what's been pushed onto the world at the expense of R&B, at the expense of properly financed and funded black R&B. But when R&B is done right, it still outsells anything. The concerts still outdo any rapper. The albums still outperform any rap album when R&B is done right. And R&B is black culture. K-pop, black culture. Adele, black culture. Robin Thicke, black culture. All this shit's black culture, man. The Weeknd, black culture. I saw some article and I put it up there on my Twitter earlier. The Weeknd canceled a show last night here in LA because he said on Twitter, it said he complained about his vocals not being in check. And I'm like, nigga, you don't sing anyway. What the fuck you mean? All them stems y'all got behind y'all music and you couldn't get through a performance? That's gentrified R&B. I remember Coco from SWV. She was on Jenny Jones like back in the SWV performed like on Jenny Jones or something like that. One of those 90s talk shows. And Coco sang hoarse. Like she couldn't talk. She was talking like this. But she still got through a performance because that's what we as FBA do with our music. But they're othering hip hop as if it's this new phenomenon that these Caribbeans and Latinos came around and gave black people. When it's like, hold on. If you made hip hop, make another one. Black folks have been making other music, especially here in North America, that's been popular around the world for as long as the recording industry has been popular. And like I said, when we see R&B, when R&B is done right, it outsells everything. It outperforms everything. Look at Adele. Adele, I keep saying this. Adele just bought a $58 million house in LA, y'all. $58 million. Look at that group BTS. Look at what they're selling out worldwide. Anywhere in the world they go, they're selling. That's R&B. It's R&B culture. That's soul music. I've sort of started to like rebrand how I say some of this stuff when it comes to our music. All of this, when it comes, and hopefully this catches on amongst black people. It's all soul music. Rap, hip hop is soul music as performed by Generation X and millennials, with rapping tones over the top of R&B rhythms. R&B is soul music. Disco, soul music. It's like when we got away from soul, that's what opened the doors for all these others to come in and take it. It's all soul music, soul culture is the backbone of world culture, of world music. Period, point blank. Sometimes that soul is expressed through hip hop R&B. Sometimes that soul is expressed through country. Sometimes that soul music is expressed through jazz and the blues. But it's all soul music. And I think us as black people, we got to go for the jugular on this. While hip hop is the discussion, while we're talking about hip hop, I think it's very important that we say, oh yeah, that other shit y'all playing, that's ours too. I think it's very important that we lay claim to everything, everything, everything. And I'm gonna help y'all out a little bit on Incense and Ashtrays. I got a show I'm putting together where I'm highlighting the different black artists that are reclaiming a lot of our older sounds, from country to blues to jazz. It's a lot of foundational black American artists that are at the head of these genres right now. But we wouldn't know it based on these so-called Billboard lists that they're like throwing out there. I mean, there's a black woman that's the dopest in country music right now. Is headed by a black woman. The dopest in new Delta blues is headed by a young black man. I think his name is Catfish, the little fat motherfucker. What's his name? Jazz is being held down by black artists. Kamasi Washington, Terrence Martin. This other group coming up, newer group coming up, Catalyst. R&B, you got people like Corey Henry on that organ, playing that good old classic foundational black American soul. It's a lot of black artists out there that are reclaiming our sounds that we've given up. But it's on us to support them. It's on us to know that they're out there, and it's on us to do something about pushing them to the front and making them relevant within our culture. We don't care about if they're relevant to white folks. I don't know. Being relevant to white people don't mean shit. We got to make our artists, our greats, relevant to us, and through being relevant to us, they'll be relevant to the world. Like we're in a very powerful position as black people, to where our culture is like crack. That song "Crack Music" by Kanye. That's before Kanye got all weird and shit. That's us. Crack music. Go back and listen to that song by Kanye. That's that black music, nigga. That crack. That's it. Outkast talked about it. Cook it in the basement, move it at a show, then grab a microphone. Everybody yell, "Ho!" Our music is cracked to the world, but we've been inverted. And I thought about this in a space that what's up, Jay? I see Jade in the chat room. In a space that Jade had the other night. I thought about this when we were all talking. Like, man, we got this whole thing inverted, man. We over here looking. And raise your hand if you want to speak, or hit on the request button if you want to say something. Anybody? But we as black people, we got it all twisted. We be so busy looking outside, looking for other people, want other people to validate us, want other people's approval, want other groups to feel what we hear and agree with what we saying, not knowing that we got the power the whole time. It's not on us to go around recruiting other people to be allies with. It's on us to just express our culture and stand on our square. That's what it's on. It's on us. Because these other groups, it's like, as a performer, the audience people don't know what they want. They just want something that's good. People basically want whatever our youth is putting out. We don't have to explain this to people. We don't have to go around and recruiting people to the black side of things. All we got to do is just sit there and be and make our club exclusive. We need to do our shit like the He-Man Woman Haters Club. Like on remember that was that show with I forgot the name of that show where the He-Man Woman Haters Club was. But we got to do it like that. We got to make ourselves a club, a very exclusive club, because unfortunately, too long in our history, we've allowed people to associate blackness with the lowest common denominator. They associate blackness with the easiest, with the lowest thing, not necessarily with the highest. And blackness in Black America is all about, all right, can you meet us at the top? Everybody got a degenerate class. Everybody got ghetto people. Everybody got hood rats. Everybody got all that shit. But everybody ain't got people who can found whole cultures based off of the sound of music. That's something everybody ain't got. Now they may have people who can listen to what we doing and come out with their own cheap imitation version of what we got going down. But they ain't really got nobody that can go around and create from scratch something that didn't exist before and now is a worldwide phenomenon, worldwide thing. So it's bigger than hip hop, black people. Black culture, black music is a worldwide phenomenon in all forms. And if there's a form of music out there that's popular around the world that we didn't create, then tell me. Whether we're talking about Afro beats, where that come from? Here. Whether we're talking about dance hall, where that come from? Here. Reggaeton? Here. Salsa, Latin jazz? Here. Skiffle. Skiffle was very popular in the UK. That also came from here. Grunge heavy metal? Here. Country western? You can go down the list. See, the way it works is when you allow your enemy to control the terms of the debate, you're never going to get your full window, your full breadth of success out there. Because when if we're just keeping it at and I'm not saying we shouldn't, we should definitely keep it hip hop because since hip hop is a subject of the day, we definitely need our warrior scholars out there representing for us. We need our musicians and historians and people who understand the culture, understand the history. We definitely need them on the front lines discovering hip hop and discovering and talking about where it really comes from. But we also, at the same time, we have our warrior scholars out there doing that work. The rest of us also need to take a step back and look at the whole field, look at the whole picture. Like if this is a football game or a basketball game we're playing, hip hop covers when it comes to Black American culture's influence on the world. Hip hop may cover a piece of the game, 5-10 minutes of the basketball game at max. If we want to win the whole game, you got to talk about everything. We got to remind these folks that they literally have nothing without us, no matter what direction they turn in, whether it be the music production, whether it be the instruments used, how they walk, how they talk. Look at how these cats are talking these days. Like I'm looking, I was somewhere I was at a live music venue last night, and Asians for the most part here in LA, these cats talk like black people from 1993. It's like all these cats talk like us 20 and 30 years ago. There's nothing original about them. You see their food, like when you drive around the hood, it's black people fried chicken, black people crab broil, black people version of everything. These other cultures don't have anything that people outside of their culture cares or gives halfway of a fuck about embracing. We got to remember that. Okay, I got a request. Let me see. What's up, OG Keys? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Peace to the host, peace to the room. I just want to add to the conversation, brother. Um, the black man and woman are the original man and woman. Everything come from us. We created just by the everything, brother. Everything. The Most High Elijah Muhammad said that the original man is God. He said that black man is God. So music is just a portion of the things we've created. All different countries that have stoplights, stop signs. Let them enjoy that because it was a foundational black American that created that. So, beautiful conversation, dear brother. I just wanted to impart and share that. I land.
I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, it's excuse me, I was over there hitting the joint while he was talking. Um, but yeah, he's right about that. It's music is just a portion of it. Again, music is a sonic interpretation of your immediate environment. That's what music is. Music is a sonic interpretation of your environment. Inventions are the inventions that we had. Inventions all, or I said have, really still have, but we've slowed down a lot because football and basketball has taken way too much of our attention over the last 50 years. But when it comes to our inventions and things like that, that's a response to necessity, convenience. We so luxurious. Black people, Black Americans, we don't even understand how luxurious we are. We some luxurious folks. I saw my man Mike Baggs on Twitter earlier today. He was posting pictures of Black Americans in 1910 versus Nigerians in 1910. Black Americans in 1920 versus Jamaicans in 1920. And when he posted them pictures, I was like, yo, this child abuse, bruh. No disrespect, but even I, even when I was looking at him, I was like, yo, I didn't really realize the gap was that big because we're very luxurious people. That's why we can't allow these others to associate themselves with us based on living in the ghetto or the worst of us or what goes wrong, what's bad, what's bad with Black America. Because that's not who we are. We as Black Americans, we made outhouses, man. You're not gonna shit in the house. You're not about to shit on the road. You're not about to shit in the backyard and have your human shit all over my crops and plants in the backyard. We're gonna build a hole, put a stoop over top of that hole, and we're gonna put four walls around it and a door and say, go handle your business out there, homie. Because that's how luxurious we are. Even in the middle of even while being sharecroppers, we ain't gonna sit around no shit. Hell nah. Our culture is very clean. It's not just hip hop. Black music culture is an expression, and Black culture is a very refined, very innovative, very forward thinking culture. It's a culture that meets the needs of the day. It's a culture that always finds ways, innovative ways, to make things more convenient. That's just a cultural thing for us. This is something that we got to remember as Black people. When they say, and this is a talking point that we got to remember, when other groups come around saying that, oh, you guys don't have shit in the streets because you're around white people. Oh, Black people only have what they have because America's so powerful and you guys benefit from America being so powerful. Let me break that part down. The reason why America is so powerful is because of our inventions and because of what we created. In the 1700s and the 1800s, there was a race between Europe and all throughout Europe, the Dutch, the French, the English, the British, all them musty ass European countries were all about at the same pace. Great Britain jumped out ahead in the 1800s, in the 1700s into the 1800s, and they were the world powerhouse. The thing that pushed the United States of America ahead of the rest of the world is Black people's inventions. It wasn't just our labor. See, we got to talk about the labor of Black people. We can't. Labor isn't the focus when it comes to delineating us from the rest of the world. Labor ain't the focus. Everybody was slaves. That's true. Jamaicans had the forced labor. The Barbadians, the Bajans, whatever the fuck they call themselves, they were labor. In Brazil, Black people were labor all across the world. That right there, we all, I won't say equal, but we all kind of share a commonality when it comes to that. The difference is our labor as Black people came with these things called inventions. And these inventions made our labor a little easier for us to do, a little more, how can I say this? A little more productive. Because when we were out there picking all that cotton, like other slaves were around the world, people was picking cotton all around the world in different places where cotton could grow. The difference is foundational Black Americans got together and say, you know what, I'm tired of taking these damn seeds out this cotton. Let me come up and come up with some kind of contraption that could take these seeds out. I'm tired of Granny's hands, my grandmama's hands, getting all hard and brittle from picking out all this seeds. So what do? We invented the damn cotton gin. Of course, Eli Whitney took credit for it, but the cotton gin, if you study American history, even the white folks say the cotton gin is what pushed the United States of America economically ahead of the rest of Europe. All the other European colonies had to have their slaves picking seeds out the cotton by hand manually. The foundation of Black Americans said, you know what, here's a machine. And we ended up producing way more cotton than anywhere else. And that right there is what pushed the United States of America ahead of the world economically. We always got to go back and look at the cause and effect relationship behind why America is ahead of the rest of the world. It didn't just happen because the United States has a good military. As a matter of fact, militarily, the United States didn't become the dominant force in the world until after World War II, 60 some odd years ago. So it's not just the military. It's something that's going on in this country. It's not just the military. It's not just the labor. It's something else happening here in North America that's not happening in the rest of the world. And that something else is Black culture. That's the something else. When they started building high-rise buildings, Black people say, you know what? I'm going to invent something called an elevator so our buildings go higher than yours. We invented that. When cars and traffic started to become a problem, so it wouldn't be because we're a clean and neat people. So since this is a problem with these traffic, we're going to invent a traffic signal to cause decency, to create decency and order in driving. You look at some of these other countries in Asia, you look at some of their driving patterns on Twitter. You ever see them videos like on Twitter and like on Instagram of how they drive in other countries? 57,000 goddamn cars at an intersection saying your turn, my turn, and knocking each other out the way to get across the intersection. That's not our style. Not one person from those countries thought when cars were coming, hey, let me create some kind of a system that's going to help with the flow of this traffic. They didn't think that. We did, however. I mean, this goes really deep, Black. Like, this goes extremely deep as far as things being bigger than just hip hop and just the music. It was Black people who decided, who it was our ingenuity and our engineers that got the train lines through a lot of these rigid passways and byways across these rivers, through these mountains. That was our ingenuity. It's bigger than hip hop. Hip hop is just one of the newer cultural phenomenons that we created. And what's America's number 2 export according to America? It's culture, it's music. America don't create shit no more. They send everything to China and Taiwan to be made. So how does America stay on top economically if it's not creating anything? If it doesn't have a raw substance that is pushing? I'll tell you how. You stay number one through selling Black culture. That's number one around the world. That's why when I'm around these Asians, they talking like extras in a 1993 Reginald Hudlin film. Like, we don't even, like, do y'all even know we don't even talk like that no more? But hey, if that's what you do, that's what you do. It's bigger than hip hop. Black music culture and Black culture runs the world. Black American culture. And again, this isn't any slight at any Africans or anyone from the Caribbean. It's not a slight at any of y'all. But we as Black Americans, we have to reassess this whole thing. We've been seeing this whole thing twisted. We've been seeing this whole thing upside down. We got to straighten this out. We got to bring this up right side up, y'all. We have to. And we're going to do it through re-looking at everything that we done brought to the table over the last 150 years and acting accordingly. We got to act like that. We got to act like we the shit. I love when I used to coach basketball. I love when I had a player come in the locker room that didn't feel like he could be touched. That's the player that I could do something with. But they tell us, hey, be humble, be me. Man, let's be humble with each other. But when it comes outside of us, there ain't no reason to be humble. Humble for what? We done went through all this, and we the ones that invented the refrigerator. What we need to be humble about that for? Why do we need to be humble about inventing the light bulb and the roller coaster? What for? They don't humbly accept the money that they make off the shit that we invent, do they? Are they humble about them big old houses in Beverly Hills and in Jupiter Island, Florida that they buy with the money from the wealth that we generated? Are they humble about their Manhattan penthouse when they get those off of wealth that we generated? It's like the whole world get to wag their finger. The whole world get to show their greatness and show you. We sit around as black people. We looking at all these other people talk about their culture. Well, in my culture, and we do kabuki theater, and in my culture, and we hear them talking, and we be like, "Oh, that's cool. Y'all got that going on. Oh yeah, for real." We kind of just be sitting there like, "Oh, that's dope." We really do. We be like, "All right, oh, that's your culture. Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll make sure I buy a program from your event so I can show that I supported you because anything else from your culture, I don't even know if I want to take back home with me. Ain't nothing I really fuck with like that. But we sit there and we allow people to, and there's nothing wrong with that. We should continue to allow them to express their culture and let them be who they are. But we have to stop being so shy. We got to stop being. We got to stop that. We got to stop that. We got to stop being so shy, and we got to stop being so humble about the things that we create. Because our humbleness, our meekness, our shyness, look where it's gotten us. We've been so humble, meek, and shy. We've gotten people who haven't done enough. Like, if we're gonna be straightforward when it comes to Latino and Jamaican contributions to hip hop, if you're talking about a human body, their contribution will be equivalent to a dead skin cell that you washed off in the shower. Because all you did was come around and repackage some old shit that we've been doing. We done been washed B-boying off of we done been took a shower and washed off B-boy and we into something else. Then here you come 10 years later talk after it was done and finished with talking about look at what I brought to hip hop. You just brought us a clipped toenail, homie. We done clipped that part of the toenail and threw it in the trash already. And here you come picking up out the trash that toenail we done clipped, saying, hey, black people, look what I brought. I spun on my head. We've been way too humble. It's bigger than hip hop. When we keep it in music and we not rapping, just look at their music. All of their music is R&B. All of it. People always ask me, what's pop music? Pop music is just R&B that white people like. That's all pop is. It's black music that the tempo is a little bit faster. We take a little bit of the seasoning out. We remove the salt and pepper or put less salt and pepper in it. You know, less layers, less funk on it. More so, basically, we give them a very much easier, less complicated version of what we do. And that right there is what's called pop. Pop is still black culture. Anytime you see pop, anytime you see pop music, that's black music. What one of the moves that they're making right now is they're trying to other us from all of our other creations. Not only they're aggressively doing this with hip hop right in our face. But when it comes to our other music, they're just omitting everything. And we got to remember the white supremacists work best through lies of omission. They're the best liars of omission that's ever walked this planet. Let's just omit the fact, omit all these things that you did. Let's act like it doesn't exist, and let's create a new starting point. Let's create a talking point. Let's create the conversation, but let's start the line way down, way over here, instead of where it belongs. That's why we have. That's why I'm having this Twitter space today. We have to be proactive in bringing it up because they're not going to bring up the fact that K-pop is R&B music. They're not going to bring up the fact that Post Malone is just somebody that's been infatuated with black culture, and his music is his interpretation of black culture. They're not going to bring up the fact that Kid Rock and Adele and all of these white artists are just doing their version of black culture. We have to bring that up and keep that in front of us. We got to be annoying about it too. We got to annoy the shit. The same way the LGBTQ people be annoying, we got to take a page out they pink pansy book. We got to find a way. We got to know that where everything comes up, with like, because he knows whenever we doing something, whenever things are going a certain way, who are the first people up in the room running their mouth? What about LGBTQ? What about immigrants? We got to be like that when it comes to us, and not in a way that we want to get involved in their shit. They can be minding their own business. All we got to do is come around and be like, black people created that, right? And keep moving. Oh, you like that new song by The Weeknd? Oh, that's just black music from the South. That's all that is. Annoy the shit out of them with this. Oh man, oh you like that? Oh you like your car? Oh yeah, black people had a much better car than the Ford Motor Company. Yeah, black. That's a black. That car you driving? Oh yeah, that's a black thing. Oh, your car? Are you're in a car that was mass produced? Oh yeah, George Washington Carver created the assembly line. You know, he studied the plant and how a plant distributed resources, and he came up with the assembly line based off that. So, whether you have a car made in China, Japan, America, Mexico, wherever it's made, is made on an assembly line that comes out of the mind of a black person. Mind you, that's another thing when it comes to us as black people that we got to brag about. The assembly line. That's another thing that pushed America ahead of the world economically. The rest of the world was able to, when they created products, they were creating products one at a time. It was George Washington Carver's assembly line that he invented out of thin air after looking at a plant that pushed America ahead of the rest of the world economically. There's a direct one-to-one cause and effect relationship between black ingenuity, black genius, and America's bolstered economy. When you look at America's bolstered economy, how America's economy was bolstered and pushed ahead of the rest of the world over the last 150 years, it could all be tied back to foundational black American ingenuity. That's black culture. If y'all want to say something, go ahead and raise your hand or hit the button if you want to say something. I got my co-host here, Nikki. She'll let you in. What's up, Nikki? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing? This is a great space. Um, they take so much from us, and I think a lot of our people don't understand that we invented almost everything, And then when you brought up the fact that the traffic lights in the other country, if if they came up with so much, why are they still having all those traffic accidents? I mean, the way they drive like there's no stopping and starting or anything. They just like are like move out the way. We invented the traffic light, we invented the light bulb, and of course peanut butter, but everything else. I think the whole world is based off of our culture, and we should just be so proud that we are the culture of we're not just the culture of the United States, we are the culture of the world. I mean, people are in other countries just dancing to our music. They'll be like behind a couple of years wearing some of our old t-shirts and things like that, but everybody's culture, Asians, Africans, Russians, everybody's culture, their dancing, everything is based off of us. So Without us, I don't even think that everybody else will be able to thrive. That's about all I have to say.
And that's very true, and it's something that we've been far we've seen this for a long time, but we've been far too humble. It's been like as black folks, we'll see other people do this stuff, and we'll just kind of look at each other like, look at this shit, and just go back to doing what we do. Like you said about driving, I don't know about y'all, but here in LA, it's been a hell of a lot of immigrants that's come here over the last 40 years, like crazy. And what you see when you're dealing with a lot of immigrants is these motherfuckers can't drive. I don't care if you talk about Latino immigrants, Asian immigrants, Indian immigrants. These people drive like they're using their knee to push the gas and the brake pedal. Like, nigga, is your ankle frozen solid? What's wrong with you? Like, look at how these cats drive. Come on, is it just me? Y'all listening? Is it just me? You driving down the street? These people want to get in the next lane and then look over after they got in the lane. They want to hop on the freeway and dart over to the fast lane going 40 miles an hour. Like, that may be how y'all get down in your country, but here in America, black Americans have a sense of decorum about how we drive. And I know y'all dealing with this when it comes to gentrification. All these white folks and all these other people. Look, I'm from South Central LA, all right? Crenshaw District. And it's a way black people drive here in LA. You know, we know how to, if the light is out and we had a four-way stop, we know, okay, car to the right goes first. And it sort of runs in a certain rhythm. You know what I mean? We don't really run lights like that here. It's like, there's always been a certain energy to driving in black LA. Now you got all these white folks moving back in. These motherfuckers, when they get to a four-way stop, sometimes I'll be thinking, how did we get conquered by these dumb motherfuckers? You ever see white folks at a four-way stop when the light just went out? It's like they don't know what to do. They get there, oh my God, 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 oh my God. Move, bitch. I got somewhere to go. I'm like, I be really be thinking like, how did we get conquered by these motherfuckers? These niggas is stupid. We have a certain civility about us. We have a certain intelligence about us, and we have a certain like communal aspect about us. And I don't want to hear anything about it being African. And because again, we're all African. If it's African, then God damn it, say that when the Europeans do something too, because Europeans are also from Africa. People from Asians, they're from Africa too. Their culture is African too. Until people start calling Asian culture African, until people start calling European culture African, until people start calling Mexican culture, and I'm talking about the white ones, not just the black ones, until they start calling every other people on this planet their culture African, leave us out of it. We've developed our own unique cultural paradigm here in North America that's different. And it's different from other black people. That's the thing about it. It's not just different from white people. It's not just different from the Mongoloid. It's not just different from the Asian. It's different from other black people. Again, black Americans, we don't allow shit in the streets. Black Americans aren't going to just be walking around up and down dirt roads like that. We're not going to do that. We have a unique civility about us, and it's played out through our music. This is a point Dr. Clyde Winters brought up when we were talking about music. Well, when he was talking about my breakdown of music. If you go back to our music before we were rudely interrupted by them, between the 1960 to 1979, that's where you get uninterrupted black expression musically. That was the last time outside of outside of 80s hip hop and before 93. But when it comes to, but even that has some tampering. When it comes to black people just getting instruments, having access to instrumentation, access to recording, access to our culture, you can hear that in music between 1960 and 1979. Those were the last times we were uninterrupted in our music. And when we were uninterrupted in our music, when we did it the way we want to do it, it was like a symphony in our sound. If you go back and listen to original R&B, that was symphonic music. I was listening to some Johann Sebastian Bach the other night because I still listen to the classical music. I love it. I listen to Beethoven. I listen to Baroque. I listen to all of them. I could break down the difference between the Baroquean era and the Bach era and the Mozart era. All different forms of classical music. Great, refined music that black people brought to Europe, by the way. Thank you to the Moors. But if you listen to that stuff and take away the singing, take away the drums and the bass, just listen to the symphony that came along with our music. The symphonic sounds taught a message, preached a message, played a message that mimicked the words. That's who we are. If you want to know who we are, how classy we are as black people musically and culturally, just turn on some Barry White. Did I say too much there? Just turn on some Barry White. You want to hear Barry White's music sound like it almost feels like you have to put a tuxedo on just to listen to Barry White on your couch. Like this music is gorgeous. Let me get out my pajamas and put a 3-piece suit on so I can listen to Love Serenade. On Incense and Ashtrays, I broke that. I'll put that up there later on. I have the Power of Live Orchestration was one of my broadcasts on Incense and Ashtrays. Because our music is that level of sophisticated. They always want to say, okay, yeah, okay, show me the African equivalent symphonically to an Isaac Hayes production, to a Marvin Gaye, Leon Ware production, a Smokey Robinson, Hal Davis production, Norman Whitfield. I mean, the music is so beautifully arranged and orchestrated. I mean, the dramatics. I was listening to the dramatics yesterday. I was listening to that song, Just Shopping. Just shopping, not buying anything. Excuse my singing. Quan S in the I see you in there cringing right now, Quan. Don't trip on my lack of vocals. I'm a drummer. But go back and listen to that song Just Shopping by the Dramatics. Listen to the symphony behind their vocals. When it gets to that part, especially when it gets to the bridge, when they get to sing, I wanted to give it the world, but baby, you are. Just listen to the strings and the lushness and the beauty. That's what we produce under our most economic. That's when America was really pounding us with this whole ghetto thing. Black people didn't live in ghettos before the 1970s. We lived in neighborhoods that had a few bad actors, but we didn't start living in ghettos until the 70s. The ghettos come out of the 70s for Black America when that war on drugs started. They pushing heroin and coke and all this shit on us, and we turning around and we're making music that will put Beethoven to shame. And that's why I say they have to take that element of our music out in order and dumb it down in order for people like The Weeknd, some Canadian non-foundational Black American, canceling his concert 3 songs into his show last night. And I was laughing at everybody who bought tickets to go to that concert. Like, that's what y'all get. Y'all want all this black music, but y'all don't want a real nigga performing it. So yeah, you get shit like that. Somebody who don't even sing anyway, canceling a concert because they can't sing. What kind of shit is that? That's like my fat ass canceling a food contest because I can't eat. That should have never happened. all them stems he got back in his vocals, and you can't go through with the show. They not cut like us. It's bigger than hip hop. We need to go ahead and defend hip hop. I'm not saying we need with every ounce of energy everyone's been defending hip hop. We need to keep at it. This isn't oftentimes there's nothing we got to get rid of as black people. Too often black folks have these either or conversations, either this or that. We got to stop that nonsense. We can do multiple things at once. We can defend hip hop and still go on offense and say, hey, that shit you're singing, that's black music too. The way you're dressing, that's black culture. That food you cooking, that's black culture. We can do both. We can do hip hop and say, hey, Latinos, y'all them haircuts y'all putting in, y'all look like knockoff Anthony Masons with all them hair. Like nigga, Anthony Mason was doing niggas was doing that shit before Anthony Mason of the New York Knicks, putting all them designs in their hair. Now they're trying to say that's a Latino thing. And that's another thing. I'm not gonna look. There is no coalition with groups that all of a sudden when the name of their group come up, they whole little bullshit accent change. Yeah, you heard Fat Joe when he talked. I'm black. I can say nigga. I can do this, and they talking black, black, black. But then he be like, but then the Latino. You know, how are we gonna be the same when you don't even pronounce your culture with an English dialect? Now, if I see one of you Latinos coming, we say Latino. Matter of fact, if you're from the West Coast, we say Mexican. Whether you from Brazil or you from Colombia, not Brazil, but if you from Colombia, Argentina, Dominican Republic, Mexico, Honduras, or El Salvador, any of them countries, first of all, you Mexican to us. That's just it. You Mexican. But if we do say Latino, we're gonna say Latino because it's a T there, not a th. They be like, yeah, I'm down with the black people, man, because the black people are this, but the Latino. And then they start rolling their R's and shit. We don't roll our. Look, how you gonna be us and you roll your R's? Niggas don't roll R's. Your name is Rodriguez, not Rodriguez. Nigga, we feel like some damn fools rolling our R's. Rodriguez. Fuck out my face. Ain't no coalition. If you want to be a coalition, you got to start rolling your R's because I don't like that. Nigga, your name is Rodriguez and you Latino. That's what you is. Oh, you say you want to be down, right? You Latino, not Latino. The whole accent change when it gets to their culture. It's like they're not going, when it comes, they have such reverence for their culture, they can't even speak their culture in English in an English dialect and accent. Think about that for a second. Like, all jokes aside, they can't express anything about their culture without code switching all the way into their culture's dialect and tone. But then when they say nigga, they want to say it like us. One thing white America forced people, this is one thing we got to get. And if you want to, what's up, Black Alpha? What's up, Twizzle? Y'all want to speak, raise your hand. Or anybody want to speak, raise your hand. But one thing about us, one thing about white culture, one thing white culture did that to put a gate up around this culture, and it's something that we can mimic, because at the end of the day, you can still learn from your enemies certain things. You can learn from anybody. Well, you should be willing to learn from anybody. If somebody, when I coach basketball, if a team beat me, the first thing I'm gonna do is study that film and find out what they did that I can adapt and fit within my system and how I run my offense and how I play my defense. That's how you win a championship, by constantly refining. And we as black men, we so into sports, we should be the first ones to know this shit. We should be, but we spend too much time talking about who's better, Jordan or LeBron, and ain't nobody watching the game and how the game get played, and how you can mimic how that game gets played and play it out in a social setting like we are right now as Black people. Sports is just and it's just war strategy. Dr. Welsing taught us that. That's all sports is war strategy. And when we started seeing it and started becoming fanboys of these guys, we missed the whole picture. But back to what I was talking about as far as some things that they do that they've been winning on that we could adopt. When it comes to gatekeeping the culture, white folks are some of the best at gatekeeping their non-culture. They ain't even got a culture, and they gatekeep that. How do they do it? How do they gatekeep their non-culture? They make it exclusive. They don't just say, hey, you're new to America, you're white. No. They say, you're new to America. Now go live around them niggas. And they haze people. They haze groups for a long time. They make those other groups so that they're worthy to become part of whiteness. They say, okay, your name is Christopherson? Oh, no, that's too European. It ain't no Christophersons here in America. Ain't no Christophs. That's too European. Your name is going to be Christopher. We'll let you be Christopher, but we ain't gonna let you be Christopherson. We'll let you be um uh we'll let you be uh John Smith, but you can't be John Schlossenbach. Look at them weird ass European last names that they had when they came over here off them boats. Europeans have some horrible ass 4-syllable names. The names that sound like some shit that you find on a bratwurst menu. They had them long 4-syllable words. White folks said you can't have them European words and you want to be part of white culture. You got to change your name, homie. That's how far white folks went to make people assimilate. You have to change your name. And then once you change your name, you got to show how dedicated to whiteness you are. And then once you show how dedicated to whiteness you are, we'll think about changing your status in about 50 years. What do we do as Black people? As soon as people get off that boat, you one of us. Them motherfuckers didn't even ask to be one of us yet. They don't even know what the hell we are. They yet. They first they don't know the language. We the first ones to be like, you one of us. There was a whole Black and Olive coalition of the 1920s when the Olive people were the same as the Black people because you were being mistreated. The Black and China coalition of the 1950s and the 1950s and 60s, the Black and Asian coalition. Then they let Richard Iocchio up in the Black Panthers and look what he did. That's a mistake that we've been making, man. We can't. We created hip hop. We created the blues, jazz. We created all of these things that other cultures cannot do without. We created music crack for these people. And the first thing we do is say, hey, well, you want some? You can have some. Niggas is the first ones to rap about being drug dealers. But if they was really the drug dealers that they are, why are you giving you couldn't be a successful drug dealer if you gave away your product. You got to make your product exclusive and sell it for a certain dollar amount. You got to pay to play. And that's the part that we missing out on right there. We don't sell our product, we give it to them. All because we want to be cool with people. And we don't even understand their social norms. We don't even understand that. One thing, I remember when I graduated college, I hated that day. I was like, man, this shit was a waste of my time. But now looking back, it wasn't a waste of my time because I learned so much about white culture and Black culture in my major. And one thing about white culture and those other cultures, these cultures that want these white and white acting cultures, they really do judge people based on their job or what they do for a living. That's why if you ever meet a white person, they'll say, hey, my name is John. Oh, what's your name? What do you do? Like white society judges themselves off of what people do for a living. They don't see the humanness inside them within one another. Like they rank them. That's why Dick Gregory used to always talk about how bitter white people will be when they become cops. Because in white society, a police officer is one of the lower jobs on the totem pole. We may look at the white cop and say, "Hey, that white cop is a lieutenant. He's making $150,000 a year." White people see that white cop as, you became a cop because you couldn't make it in white society, and that's why they be so bitter. But we don't see it that way. We see people for their humanity. White folks see people by what they do. I remember we had a whole like long as we had to go this we took half a semester breaking down culture, just basically white culture, and when I was in school, and I was like, damn, these motherfuckers really don't like each other. They really don't fuck with each other. They only deal with each other when they feel they can get something out off one another. But we as black people, we don't really understand that about their culture. So we thinking acceptance into their culture, into the way of things is by giving away what we give up. Like we're thinking, okay, if we give up something, you'll give up something. And that's the biggest mistake that baby boomers kept making over and over and over and over again. Thank God for the younger Gen X and millennials and the niggas up here in Twitter space. Because we the last motherfuckers doing this. What's up, KD? What's up, everybody up here? What's up, CT Reed? Raise your hand if you got something to say that you want to break down or that you want to bring up. Because right now we're talking about is bigger than hip hop. Black music culture, black culture is the culture of the world. And if we zero it down, if we narrow it down to just hip hop, we're missing out on 99% of the contributions and the innovations that America has given the world. And hip hop is a large thing. So we must make sure we continue to gatekeep hip hop. We have to gatekeep hip hop. But we also got to expand the argument and go worldwide. We got to be like these white folks and manifest destiny. We got to be straight up manifest destiny with our shit. Manifest destiny, but our manifest destiny is we're going to own our creations. We don't want to take what you created. You can have what you created. We don't want to take none of your shit. Y'all can have all that. We just want to reclaim what we created. And anything you created, we can create a better version of that. Because that's how much trust I have in black people. That's what we've shown over and over and over again. Whatever you created, we'll create some shit that's going to knock that out the park. That's our culture. And we got to remember that. We got to be like, we got to really, and then here's another thing about it. We ain't going to do this shit for their, here's another mistake that we make. We sometimes do things like this seeking the approval of others. That should no longer be our end goal. Our end goal isn't approval. Our end goal is I'm doing it just because I can. Just because my end goal for bringing this shit up is to piss you off. That's what I'm bringing this shit up for two reasons. Knowledge of self amongst my people so that we can get the message that we the shit. For those who don't know, and for everyone else, we're going to just piss you off with this information. I'm glad you're annoyed. I'm annoyed every time I see two black men kissing on TV. That annoys the shit out of me. But I don't see you stopping, so I'm going to annoy you too. We two can play this game. Everything time you bring up how great your culture is, I'm going to bring up the Black American creation of that, or the Black American influence. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, you want to go ahead? Oh, you don't want to you want to have, when it comes to toys, just a black mom and a black child with no black father? Okay. Well, let me tell you where the absentee fathers being around. Absentee fathers really started becoming a thing as a European made this conquest, this manifest destiny around the world, and they started going around the world having sex with native peoples and leaving the children uh, in swaller, leaving the children to raise themselves. That's where fatherlessness comes from. Fatherlessness comes from these white men going around and leaving all these indigenous black people around the world without a father. And so we picked up on some of that behavior. And now when you look around the world, you see baby mama is going up in every culture. It's not just us anymore. In every culture, you're starting to see all of this happening. Fatherless homes. It ain't just us, and it's come back to your ass. Like right now, I'm watching TV right now. I'm watching this commercial for some product called Dovado. I don't even know what this is. It looked like a medicine. They had the white couple was an old white couple. I don't know if y'all seen it, but some medicine called Dovado. They got two gay black men walking down the beach, and then they get a white old couple, and then they switch to like a Latino man and a black wife. That shit annoys me. That's what y'all do. That bothers. I don't like it. So when I come around and I talk about Black Americans' influence on what you got going on, and it annoys you, tough titty. I don't care. No one ever cares about black people being annoyed. We got to be that squeaky wheel. But the only difference is our squeaky wheel isn't for them and their approval. Our squeaky wheel is to remind us of how dope we are. It's bigger than hip hop. We're the culture for the world. Period, point blank. Musically, ethically, and mentally. We invent all this stuff. We create all this stuff. We dope. And we got to know that. If y'all
We
not,
just have to
go ahead.
we just have to figure out a way to get our people to stop sharing our culture. Just like that rapper who, you remember Fat Joe was like, oh, we invented it 50-50. And then some black rapper comes out and says, oh, yeah, Fat Joe was right. What made him feel like he needed to do that? Did he feel like he was going to get some extra money from doing that? We have too many of our own who sell us out. And I'm not trying to say, oh, what about black on black crime, or we are our own worst people, but we have to gatekeep. We have to aggressively gatekeep our culture so that we aren't erased. We share enough with the Jamaicans, the Haitians, and the Latinos. They take everything from us. So we have to be more aggressive with. Excuse me. We have to be more aggressive with the way that we verbalize what is ours and the way that we share our music. You notice like white people. I don't listen to no white people who do rap. I don't listen to Eminem. I don't listen to no Justin Bieber doing R&B. I do my job. That's my part of my job, is to not participate in white people taking over our culture. And I think more people need to just be more aggressive about that. That's all.
I think what you're saying, you hit on a good point. How do we gatekeep? One way we gatekeep is by checking these out of line Negroes that come out and support this. We gotta be very comfortable with embarrassing black people who step out of line. Like, let's make it very clear. You ain't one of us. If you think like that, are you Eminem's in your top five? Like, get the fuck out of my face. That means the rest of your list is trash. And stop entering. That's what we got. The minute a black person come around to talk about Eminem or somebody white, we gotta ostracize them. Look, it works. That's part of making your club exclusive, is also making it exclusive from those within it. You better abide by these bylaws or you're not in it. You can't be taking credit. Like, oh, just the fact that you brought up Machine Gun Kelly means I don't care what else you have to say about anything. Your opinion is done. Matter of fact, I want go date a white woman, nigga. You can't date no woman like my sister. Now with that kind of a mindset, you better off going ahead dating some one of these other people. Give them motherfuckers your seeds. Because the last thing we need is another generation of your nonsense in our community. Go. We have to be very comfortable with making people uncomfortable. That's including black people who step off cold. We got to make them uncomfortable. We got to. Because when they turn around and want to claim our culture and they want to give away stuff, it's like these people, you don't have the right to give away our cultural legacy to some white people. No one black person, I don't care how many records they sold. I don't care if they sold 50 million records every album they put out. 50 million records. They done sold 500 million records for their career. They still don't have a right to sell out black culture because it's bigger than any individual. Our music is bigger than any artist. Our culture is bigger than any painter, any dance artist, any graffiti artist. Our culture is bigger than all that shit. So we got to kick them. We got to ostracize them. Like, nah, homie, you might as well go ahead and date a Mexican, man. Get the fuck away from us. I see we got Mel Wiz Wilts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Go ahead, brother.
So you touching on everything that I agree with. Like,
I can't hear you. Are you here?
oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
No.
Hold on.
It's real low. Or
Sheesh.
are you on your computer? Back too.
Nah, on my phone.
You have on headphones now?
I disconnected them.
Go ahead. I'm gonna try. Go ahead.
So basically, I just want to say that you know our cultures get start fizzling out and getting watered down because, as a whole, I feel like misery loves company, and we look at other quote unquote cultures as and see the things that they have, and we may make connections with one or maybe two out of that other culture, and the difference is they don't allow us to take on their cultures, but we allow them to take on our cultures because, like I said, misery loves company, and we think that I don't know if they we think that they're in the same boat that we are, and we just don't realize it because they're not white people. And like you said, when they come over, they say you want, we say you one of us. It's like sort of the same type of mentality. But I feel like misery loves company, and we're inviting these people in because we want to share on a certain level, but we're misguided and confused about what our culture is. That's just my 2 cents.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. We said as far as confused about what I call. I think part of it is um, we're just confused. Like the reason why it's been such a hard time for us to express ourselves culturally is because we're confused as to what the culture is. We've been so lied to, and we've been so conditioned to believe what white people say. We've been confused as to where our culture, how to identify our culture, and where it is and where it exists. Um, but at the same time, yeah, misery does look up. Here's the thing when it comes to us, black people. And I broke this down before, and I'm gonna say it again. Here's the difference between black people, black Americans, and black people across the diaspora. Black Americans suffer from major, major, major inferiority complex. We suffer from an inferiority complex. We feel that we're not good enough. What slavery did was slavery conditioned us to to lower our self worth. And so, although we like who we like being black, we have fun being black. You ask 8 out of 10 black people they want to be. 9 out of 10 black people say they don't want to be nothing else, and we really mean that. We suffer from inferiority complex. Black people across the diaspora, they hate themselves. They don't feel inferior. They feel worse than inferior. They feel other people are better, and they're not. They don't like themselves. That's why they get skin bleaching. Anytime you're dealing with skin bleaching and you don't have vitiligo, that means you don't like yourself. You don't like your color. You're around nothing but yourself. You hate you set up these prostitution rings with your own children. Who the fuck do that? I don't give a damn how down and in despair we as black people been around. We ain't never had no open pedophile rings with no damn kids. We ain't never been able to sitting on the beach. You ain't gonna see you never gonna see no black person sitting on the beach watching old white men walk up and down the beach with 7-year-old black babies like they do over there in certain parts of Africa, like they do in Indonesia and Malaysia and Thailand. You have to hate yourself to allow that shit to go on. So we as black people, we're looking at other quote unquote minorities from Asia, minorities from the Caribbean, minorities from Africa. We're seeing them the way we see ourselves. We, for the most part, like ourselves. We've just been convinced and believe that we're not good enough. We're dealing with people who hate themselves to the point to where they make excuses for the United States dropping all kind of bombs on their countries, creating economic warfare on their countries, and then turn around and say, it's because of bad leadership. It's the leadership. Well, are you going to do anything about the leadership? If you don't do anything about the leadership, that means you agree with it, right? In some way, we as black Americans, we ain't got that. We just don't like ourselves. And we can trace back and point out clearly with pinpoint accuracy why we don't like ourselves. And we in the belly, we dealing with this media thing. This media, another thing about media, and we're in the middle of the most intense media. Everyone else, their propaganda ain't a third of what we get right here in the belly of the beast. Because other countries, they don't get our propaganda until after that propaganda has been tested out on black Americans. Black Americans have always been the beta test to everything that the rest, to all of the debauchery that the United States exports to the rest of the world. You can guarantee they started it on black Americans 30 years before anyone from any other country saw it. Before the United States bombed other countries with planes, they bombed Black Tulsa, Oklahoma with planes. Before the United States exported its propaganda to Nigeria in the 1960s, they came up with birth of a nation in 1916 to start their propaganda here. We've always gotten it first. Even the whole thing when it comes to waterboarding. And when I talk about people don't even know. Some of the biggest reparations the United States ever gave was back, I think it was 2012, 2013. Look this up. A lot of black people in the city of Chicago were given reparations because of how the police department mistreated black people between 1960 and the early 2000s. That whole waterboarding technique that became famous, those of you who were around 20 years ago when the Iraq War was happening, and they were saying that the United States got accused of waterboarding terrorists in Afghanistan, and that was an international crime. Well, where did waterboarding start? It started in Chicago. The Chicago PD would put a towel over black people's head and pour water on that towel. And when you do that, it gives the person the sensation of drowning. And it's so psychologically damaging that it can leave lifelong harmful mental scars on the individuals that were waterboarded. But that started here in America, in Chicago, on foundational black Americans before that shit got exported to the rest of the world. So the rest of the world literally cannot say that American imperialism is doing something to them that it hasn't already done to us as black Americans. No group can say that. It was so bad, that particular officer that was doing that, they found him liable, and they actually gave reparations. I think it's like to like a couple hundred families in Chicago because of that. We are the culture for the world, good and bad. But get my Black American music tree at instance.nashtrace.com, and also follow me on YouTube. Dwan B. Dwan then space B. Same way you see it spelled on my Twitter handle. Dwan, but put a space between Dwan and B. You'll find me on YouTube. I got my show coming out on Caffeine, on the Caffeine app. Hotepish is coming to the Caffeine app every Tuesday from 2:30 to 3:30. We're going to be talking news, information, talking shit. And I'm also going to be reading my cards on that show, too, people that call in. For those of you who don't know, yes, I am a cardologist. I will read your ass with them cards and read your business, too, and read your relationships. But that's going to be a funny show. It's coming out on the Caffeine app Tuesdays, 2:30 to 3:30. And my new book is out. I keep forgetting. I don't have the link up. My new book is out, and I don't even have the link posted. Tell It Like It Is, The Art of Loving Communication. We always talk about how Black families need to stay together. Well, you're not going to stay together if you don't know how to talk to each other. My book is a guidebook on helping families stay together by learning how to communicate in a loving tone. This ain't the old days where granddaddy had to come in the house and just cuss everybody out and everybody listen. That don't work no more. We got to speak to each other in today's world in a loving manner if we want what we want from our family members. So I just wrote my new book, helping you get there. It's called Tell It Like It Is, The Art of Loving Communication. If y'all follow me on Twitter, I got the links up on Twitter. Yeah. And if ain't nobody else got, I'm gonna say going once, going twice. If anybody else want to speak, going once, going twice, done. I'm about to get up out of here. If you miss any part of this, catch the replay on YouTube. Well, remember, it's bigger than hip hop. Black American culture is the culture of the world. K-pop is Black American culture and music. Country Western, Black American culture and music. Whether you're talking about Adele, there's Black culture and Black music. The Weeknd. All of these musics that are out there, that's us. And we got to own that shit. And when they talk stuff about our music and they try to claim hip-hop, we not only claim hip-hop, we got to take it a step further and claim our creation of their sound too. Right? So if anybody's listening to this mad, that if any Jamaicans are mad that we're reclaiming hip-hop, let me also remind you that we also own ska, rocksteady, and reggae too. We also own salsa and bossa nova. We also own Latin jazz. We own skiffle. We own pop. We own blues, country, western, and any other popular music played across the world today. If your music is using a drum set, that's our shit. Because y'all didn't play mariachi music without drum sets until y'all saw what we was doing. Y'all added the drum set to your mariachi music. So if you're using a drum set, a bass guitar, you're playing Black music. Period. If you don't like Black people that mad, get rid of the drum set and go back to your native instruments that don't nobody else want to hear other than your grandmama. All right. Thank y'all for listening.